Just a few of those issues. Okay, first, you know, it's been said that for any great cause, you don't have to have a God, but you have to have a devil.
Right.
And they're demonizing immigrants, I think, and trying to blame problems and scapegoating some of the problems we have in our society on these individuals. Now, you asked about unemployment and are they taking jobs away from U.S. workers. Studies have shown, and let me use an example. In Georgia, they passed a law, very tough immigration law. They lost a lot of their workers in the fields because a lot of those who were undocumented didn't come back to work. So they said, okay, we'll put our prisoners out there and have them work to pick the crops. They lasted one day and they didn't come back. They said, well, we'll get unemployed to go out there, you know? And they lasted half a day and they didn't come back. So, you know, as you also know, I had worked on homelessness in the city of Houston. We did a study. Only less than 10% of the homeless were Hispanics. And who were they? Teenage girls that the family had kind of outcast because they got pregnant, they got in trouble. It wasn't the men who were homeless. They were working. So what I'm getting at is that these people are not just out there, you know, hanging on the streets, but instead they are really being productive to the society.
Right, of course.
And so that I don't, you know, again, I see people saying, well, Lamar Smith and others, oh, take away all these undocumented and we open up these jobs. Economic studies don't show that will actually happen.
No. I look at, I was telling Pastor while we were sitting in the sitting room that if you go down, say 59 in the morning time, there are just tons of people, I mean men, that are standing there waiting. These people want to work. They want to work, and they're thinking that someone will pick them up for some work, so they're providing for their families. Now, I look at those of us that are here. Would we be standing out there? They will do whatever they can, and that to me, whether they're legal or not, they're trying to find a job to feed their families, and that's what they're doing. But my question to you, Gordon, is that I'm an illegal immigrant. I've been here. My husband and I have been here for years, okay? We have our first child. Okay. We have our first child here. We go through out at the county hospital, you know, they have the baby. Now, are you saying to me that because I heard Pastor bring that question up, are you saying to me that once it's found out that the mom and dad is not documented here, that child, even though he was born here in the United States, will have to go back?
The child could stay, but without his parents, who's going to take care of him? We look at, you know, people claim, oh, they're a burden on our society. But wouldn't you rather have a family together who cares for their children as opposed to being a ward of the state? Or, you know, so that some people are often of the belief too. Well, if I have a baby here, then I can stay. Well, a U.S. citizen has to be 21 years old before they can sponsor their parents. Okay. And if the parents had come in an undocumented, illegal manner, they still have to leave the country to get their visa. And because they've been here in an undocumented manner, they have a 10-year bar further before they can get a visa to come back.
So that's a mess all the way around.
Right.
And it seems like it's designed to hurt a segment of people. When you talk about education, even say, well, maybe we can't spend all that money trying to educate them, but if they're born in the country, why not educate them? Because I've discovered, and the studies have shown that a person that's really educated is less likely to commit some sort of a violent crime. But yet we seem like we're targeting people like that. We're saying that they're taking away jobs. But you're talking about people that take jobs that others might not even want to work.
Exactly.
Won't do.
So to me, it's kind of like you're targeting people for the wrong reason. Okay, the immigration status, okay, they're in here illegal. Now do this for me, Gordon.
Okay.
Again, explain to it about the child. I heard you, but I don't know if the viewers heard. about if a child's born here, how long does it take for a child to stay in the country, born in here, to be legalized?
Well, under our Constitution, if they're born here, they are a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
That's what the Constitution provides. But as far as them having the ability to sponsor any of their relatives, they have to be an adult, 21 years of age. That's the situation. Now, getting back to your situation that you just raised, we have a lot of children who've come here who were born overseas, but their parents brought them as kids, not of their own accord. They came because their parents said, "Come on, we're going." And they only know this country. They did what we asked them to do: go to school, stay out of trouble, and then they run into a dead end because after they graduate, there's no jobs. They have no work permit. They have no permission. This is what this DREAM Act was about, trying to recognize that if they've done things the right way, we'll let them have a right to stay. But that act also provided that they could not sponsor their parents. And a lot of people don't realize that. They said, "Oh, this is the way to just get the family in." No, it would help the children if they served in the military or they had 2 years of college and they went to high school here. So that's what we've been looking at, to give people an opportunity. It's been determined by the Congressional Budget Office, if we allowed these people to work, they would add something up the order of $19 billion to our economy, because they're, instead of being dishwashers and parking lot attendants, they could be doing productive work as teachers and doctors and engineers and doing other things to help our economy.
But it also creates another problem, and that's emotion and fear. For instance, a person that, for instance, they got a job, they get a paycheck, and if they get robbed, there's a fear of calling the proper authorities, people that should be protecting them, because they have that fear of being sent out of the country.
You know, Pastor, one of the reasons I ran for city council was I'd represent a number of grocerymen from Pakistan and India, and whenever they were scared to call the police when they got robbed, because they said, you know, then they're going to ask me about my immigration status, and the next thing you know, I could be asked to leave the country, and it wasn't worth that $500 or $1,000 that I lost in the robbery. And I said, but we have to be able to give people assurance that they're safe to report these people. Otherwise, they continue victimizing not only them, but other people in our society, American citizens. And so we tried to have a system that our police would work with immigration, don't get me wrong, but immigration was not their role. They were not immigration officers. They were not trained to be an immigration officer. I mean, how do I know? If I look at you, I don't know you're born here. You could be born in Ghana or Kenya or anywhere. And me, I was born in China. So, you know, people could target me and start hassling me. I don't carry my passport. Do you carry your passport? I mean, no.
Well, I also think that you just brought up another important point. Because if people can target a certain segment, when they start broadening this to other people, what are we going to do? Right now, we are in a climate of hatred in this country. I mean, it is permeating. You got the Wall Street Occupy, you got the Tea Party, all of these different groups, and it seemed to me that rather than be a resourceful, productive group of people, now they're fighting against each other. So we got so many problems we're dealing with. Now, I would say this to anybody that's viewing the show, and they're in the country illegal, but yet you have employment. Mr. Quan here will be a good source of information to call and find out what would it take for you to become legal, so you won't have to meet those type problems further down the road, because it comes to your children again. It comes to your family being broken apart because maybe $400 or $500, and I feel if you're working on a job that you ought to be working toward legalizing your status, so you won't run into problem with your family. That's what we want him on the show. It'll take 3 or 4 shows to do all talking and things we need to do on this show, but we appreciate you coming. What would be one of the main points that you would tell the viewers today concerning that?
Well, I think if they go to see a reputable immigration lawyer to evaluate their case, to see what opportunities they have available. Recently, I saw this young man. He was a chef in a restaurant, and he was saying, I don't know. I've been illegal for so long here. Do I have any prayer? And we were able to dig back through his background, and his mother had been sponsored by his uncle years ago. He was what we call grandfathered so that he could pay a penalty fee and have his interview here. And we were recapturing a priority date from his mother. So, he was he thought he had no hope, and we found an avenue. So, I'm not saying everybody's going to have that situation, but you want to know honestly and openly. I agree with what you said. You get what you pay for.
Right.
Sometimes you go to these notaries. They think they say, I can help you. I can fill out that form, and you end up in more trouble than you ever started out with.
Well, I'm glad you use the word reputable, because you do have people that have these businesses under the guise, we're going to get it right for you. When we get through with your paper, where you're going to be, you're going to have legal status. But yet these people sometimes, they too take advantage of people like that really don't have anybody to inform, educate them on what to do. That's why we wanted you on the show, and hopefully get you back, because it takes more than one program to let the people know that you're putting yourself and your family in a bad situation by not trying to get yourself legitimate into the country. And now you're going to be used as a tool for some of the people to try to get elected into office, that once they get in the office, they forget about you. So there's so many things we're dealing with immigrants, and it breaks my heart sometimes, I have to tell you, to see people getting robbed and put in situations where they don't report it because of their status. So we got a lot of things to deal with that.
This has been such good information for us, and every immigrant is not a bad apple, and we need to know that, because the stigma of immigrant has been put on people. So if you're here illegal, you got to be bad. You're taking my job. You're taking something from my children. But all of them are not bad. I mean, it's like any situation. There are good people out there who came. They know that they need to get it right. They know that they need to work on it. Yet they walk every day in fear for. They don't know what's gonna happen to them. So the best thing for them to do is to work towards. If you're here illegal, then work towards getting it right. And if you are those that commit crimes, then guess what? You're supposed to go to jail, and you're supposed to be deported.
Right.
That's just that's with anybody. That's with any kind of crime. If you do the crime, then you need to do the time. Yeah. Exactly. But all of them are not. All of them are not bad. These are good workers. I've met some. I mean, some good people.
Shirley, as you know, the incident of crime amongst immigrants is substantially lower than our Native American population.
But they blame it on. They blame it on.
You see that in the paper every day, and you think everybody who's an immigrant or undocumented is a criminal.
Right. Exactly, and that's not so. It's not so. And it makes them so fearful. Right. Like you said, the grocery store owner or the restaurant, they're fearful of what's gonna happen to them. Pastor is so right. I mean, this is just not one show. There's a lot that can be said out there, but we wanted you here to at least touch the surface of it, to let people know that there is some hope. You just told them of a young man that there was some light at the end of the tunnel. It may not be for everybody. It may be a little bit different for the next person, but you have to try. You have to try to get it right. And that's what they need to do. Do you have some parting words for God?
Very quick, God, I think I sent a young man to you. I think I told him to call your office. He has a church, and he has a Hispanic minister in the church with him at different times, and come to find out that Hispanic had been in the country illegal, and they was trying to get him deported. And he called me, and I said, look, call Gordon Quam and see what he can do for you. So the young man called back and said he got it fixed. I don't know what happened, but that's something we'll talk about later.
Okay. Because we're winding down now. We want to hope that you got some that this show was was helpful to you, because it was for us, because we learned a lot of things. And take the time to, we want to tell our audience to take the time to check into this. If you know friends that are illegal, instead of talking about it, help them get to the right sources. Gordon Quam is a good source that they can go to. If you want to know any more information about this show, you can always call the number on the screen, which is 713-731-7050, and we will get you to the proper sources. We want to thank you for joining us today. This has been a very, very enlightening show. We thank you, Gordon Quam, for being with us.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you, Pastor,
Thank you, Gordon.
for sitting in with us again.
And thank you for being
today.
my friend.
Oh,
yes,
well,
you
thank
are a
you,
friend.
thank
you
you.
so much. This has been a very, very good and informative.